Welcome to Vision Las Cruces. This is Pam Wolf. I'm here today with candidate for Mayor of Las Cruces, Mike Tellez. Mike has been talking to our audience for the last several weeks about some of the issues that are important to the people of Las Cruces, issues that have made the people of Las Cruces decide that there's got to be some changes taking place in our city, and issues that have made Mike decide that he was willing to sacrifice a part of his life and give it to the city of Las Cruces as a servant leader in the position of mayor. We've talked about several of Mike's points already. Certainly economic development is the key motivating factor. We've got a situation in Las Cruces that we need to have an increase in our economic outlook, because it has been for many years a dismal situation. And Mike has established, with his communication with leadership in Las Cruces, a 3-point program that really has some potential for making a difference in the city. Wouldn't it be nice if your kids could just find a good job in Las Cruces and not have to move to Alaska? That's what happened to me. They went to Alaska and have great jobs, and I'm glad for them. And I get to go to Alaska, but I would so much rather have them here in Las Cruces. Mike, welcome.
How are you doing, Pam? It's good to be here today. Yes, Pam, we've been talking about our 3-point plan to economic growth in this area. You know that I was at the State Fair this weekend. You know that State Fair was packed. I believe that they broke records in attendance.
That's great.
It was beautiful. It was really nice. The weather was great. One night it rained a little bit, but other than that, it was excellent. Got a chance to talk to about 300 people there, and I would walk along with them and talk to them about what the 3-point plan was, because I wanted to get a feel of what they thought. You know that when I talked about bringing jobs to Las Cruces, you know, that's something they hear all the time, to keep our kids at home rather than moving away to work someplace else. You know, more people than not stopped and listened at that point.
It affects your home and your family.
They clearly want the kids to graduate, go to college, get a degree, and they would love for them to stay home and have a professional career right here. And last week we talked about, you know, visiting with economic development, and him telling me some of the areas that potential companies will look at before they come in. We talked about crime, talked about the crime index being at 8 out of 100, which was horrible. Now what that means is 92% of the cities across America are safer than Las Cruces, according to that. Yes, and the cities our size. Then we talked about education. We talked about the potential for screening kids in 9th grade and 10th grade, letting them go to the Donana Community College to get vocational degrees in heating and cooling, welding, electrician, auto body, auto mechanics, and to be able to graduate high school certified in one of those areas. I love the fact, Mike, that you are a person who brings entities together for communication for the betterment of the city of Las Cruces. The mayor isn't in charge of the public schools, but to get the public schools to talk, and the university to talk, and the medical community to talk about what we need, and to have the city partner, what a great idea. And you know that meeting with all the leaders around the city was the easiest part of it all. I just walked in and said, I'd like to make an appointment to talk to you. They all welcomed me. The superintendent welcomed me in there. She gave me an hour of her time. You know how busy they are. They gave me an hour of their time. The chancellor at New Mexico State University gave me an hour of his time, the chief of police, and they've been excellent, awesome. La Clinica, he gave me as much time as I possibly needed. But they have all been very inviting, and they are very welcoming to that idea. They would love to come together to work as a whole to make something happen in our city. So Mike, it sounds to me like that's not an experience that has been a part of their past. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. I could clearly see that. And I wouldn't say they didn't badmouth anyone, but I just knew that not very many people are sitting in those chairs asking the kind of questions I was asking. The chancellor, he was just incredibly excited. He said, I tell you what, I would love to meet at least once a month to start putting something in action and get the ball rolling. And the education part, I'm excited about that. I would love to see, you know what I believe? I believe we get these kids in with a choice that diverse. I believe our dropout rate will completely change. I believe that our crime rate will start fall. We'll start seeing an instant change in Las Cruces once these kids graduate and they start going into those fields.
If it looks like there's a hope for their future, it changes everything.
Yes, and you know what? I talked to them and they had hope. I mean, they just loved that idea because they see what I see. And what we're doing is if enough people can agree to it, bring it to the middle, let's start going for it. And whatever we have to do, we do it as a team.
I think that's a great concept. We talked about several of the a couple of the points last week.
Education was where we left off, and now the cornerstone of the 3-point plan is healthcare.
Now, Mike, that is surprising to me. It was surprising to me the first time we talked about it when you called healthcare the cornerstone for economic development in the area. But, you know, your reasoning is very solid, and you converted me. I'm sold on it.
Well,
Explain.
you know that if we start with healthcare, we're talking about a mental health facility. We're talking about a long-term mental health, long-term substance abuse. If we start taking care of those areas right now, that is when, by taking care of these people, we're instilling hope into people who are think that life is hopeless. You know, I talk to a lot of kids that they're just hooked on drugs to the point they just wish. There's not a week go by that I don't see several people that say, if I had a place to check into right now, I'd go there. And I talked to them and I said, you'd go right now? Yes, I would. And I said, well, that's coming real soon. That is something that we've got to do because it affects crime. 92% of crime, according to the chief of police, and part of his KIVA interview, 92% of the crime in Las Cruces is drug-related.
That's astonishing statistically.
Yes. So that's why that health care would be the cornerstone. Let's start working on that part. We'll see the crime start going down. So we're working on health care as improving the statistics on crime and education. Because we've got kids in school that, they need help. They need counseling. There's trauma going on in their life. They're talking about putting trauma counselors into schools. I am all for that. We have kids that have grown up in trauma. They need counseling. They need help. And you know what? I would just say, even into elementary schools, we should start talking and screening these kids and getting them the necessary counseling and help they need to give them hope.
The standards that we had a couple of generations ago simply do not fit in the culture that we're dealing with reality now in Las Cruces. I spent some time at a local elementary school, and I was working with an after-school program, and one of the instructions that they gave me was, don't ever ask a child about their parents. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised, and I said, okay. They said, because most of them are not living with their parents. You ask them about their person, not their parents. And as I got to know the kids, I began to understand, actually, we worked with a group of about 60 kids, and of that group, there were only 3 that were in a 2-parent home environment. And one of them, the little boy that absolutely wrenched my heart, he was the troublemaker, and I always loved the little troublemaker boys. Mm-hmm. I found out that he was living with his great-grandparents, mm-hmm. because both his parents and his grandparents were drug addicted and unable to take care of him. And his great-grandfather was dying of cancer. He was sleeping under his great-grandfather's bed at hospice. And so, yeah, he was troubled. And so that was a healthcare thing that was generational, drug affecting.
And those are things of no fault of his own.
That's right.
that's trauma in his life.
He needs someone.
Counseling. He needs somebody to help him get through that horrible time that he's going through right there. And help
Exactly.
him. We need to listen to these kids and help them. If you take care of them in school, you don't have to incarcerate them once they get out.
And the teachers don't have time to listen to all the stories.
And I think that's where stepping in and relieving the teachers of some of that. They have a horrendous workload.
Yes, they do.
Take some of that work off of their back. Let them teach. A teacher is, they're going in to teach these kids, but they cannot do everything. They cannot be the parent. They cannot be the counselor. Imagine if we can let the teachers be the teachers.
Wouldn't
And
that be
take
fun?
some of that counseling out of there, take some of those other areas, take them off their plate and put specialized people working with them so the teacher can focus on teaching the students at hand. And
Now,
that's healthcare.
You were talking about a long-term residential care facility.
Long-term treatment.
Tell me what that looks like. I'm an average consumer. I might have an idea, but my idea might be wrong.
We have, there's 20-day, 30-day treatments. Most are 20 days is how long they treat drug people. It's short-term. At the facilities we have, they're short-term, and you have to pay for them. Insurance, if you have good insurance or a lot of money, you can get someone in there, or if they're a minor. I'm not talking about minors as much as I am adults, over 18, and they're 20-somethings. They have to have a lot of money to go to get that short-term or ordered by the court. Now, it's said that you've got to get into trouble before you can get help. I believe let's get them help before they get into trouble. Keep them out of trouble rather than put them on the burden of the courts and the system. It's $280 a day to incarcerate. And, let's take that, let's prevent it. Try to preact.
$280 a day. That's taxpayer money.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I work hard to give that $280
You sure do.
to the city.
And they keep raising it, so it's not
Yeah.
going down. But that right there, by focusing on the health care needs of the kids, and when I say health care, I mean mental health, substance abuse, areas of trauma, kids that have grown up in trauma, kids that have been abused, people that have been abused, adults that were abused that were never treated as kids when they were abused.
And we were talking earlier about the soldiers that come back after
We
war.
have in the GIs, when they come home, I was at a meeting a few years back, and they said for them to get treated for PTSD, they've got to get arrested and go to jail.
Oh my goodness.
That soldiers are the only people in America that are a citizen of every single citizen in America. A soldier is a resident of every city in America. Why? Because when he went to war, he fought for every city in America. So a soldier should be treated in any city he's in the United States.
And we have a lot of military in Las Cruces. We know that part of our homeless population, it comes from the soldiers, and we've got Fort Bliss, and we've got what's the one in Alamogordo? Holloman. Just escaped
William
me.
Beaumont in El Paso. We got Holloman in Alamogordo. But these guys, that's a long ways to go.
It is. And Mike, it's a short way to get to the break we're going to have to stop a minute for. Let's take this break, and then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about those soldiers and
good.
What's going on with them. For right now, I hope that you'll come back and see the rest of what we're going to be talking about with the concept of long-term health care for people who've been struggling with mental health issues or with drug issues in Las Cruces, filling a need that just hasn't been filled, and we have the resources to do that with.
Yes, we do.
So for right now, I'm Pam Wolf here with Mike Tellez, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. We'll be back right after this.
There you go.
So great, you can do all these different gears like land.
Granite is here. We'll come to you to customize your kitchen and bathroom with beautiful countertops and cabinets. Find out more at horizongranite.com. Call us at 575-650-3180.
Horizon Granite is here.
It's here.
Make yourself a beautiful home.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg with Here on Earth. I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
Welcome back to Vision Las Cruces. This is Pam Wolf. We're here today with candidate for mayor of Las Cruces, Mike Tellez, and we're talking about the vision that Mike has for Las Cruces. 3 points to give us an economic turnaround in the city that we've been longing for, residents have been begging for, and we've got a candidate here with some solid ideas that really make sense. We were talking before about the mental health issues.
Yes.
And the problems that we've had with drug addiction for our community.
And the long-term treatment of it. And long-term treatment, we're meaning 6 months plus. Enough time to where you can completely get them through that cycle. 6 months to even 12 months, but 6 months would be the long-term number. If we can get that in place, by getting that in place, it will start helping the educational system and it'll start reducing crime if we start taking care of that area. And that is why I call it my cornerstone, because that is the most needed. And I believe that just getting a healthy person out there, imagine how much happier a family will be to get their children back, get their adult children back, get their dad back, get somebody back, their mother back. You know, a lot of kids' parents aren't with them because they're they're caught up in that. Well, imagine how kids would feel if mom and dad came home and they were well.
And they were back.
They were back.
Yes.
And when I talked about that at the state fair, people just really stopped and that got their attention. And that was clearly a hot button for people there, was that.
Because I think that almost every family in Las Cruces is dealing with a situation
You know
where...
what? And if they're not dealing with it, they definitely know somebody they're either related to, neighbors, somebody they know is having a hard time with it. And you were talking about how back in the day, in the past, that was something that has just been overlooked. Now, we have that problem today because it was overlooked then. And it's not getting better. They said, well, they did not want to take it. They didn't want to spend the money. There was just a stigma to it. But you know what? When you let something go like that, you have to pay somewhere. You're going to have to pay for it. Right now, we're paying for it. Well, look at our crime index, 92%. We're paying the price for not addressing these issues 10 and 20 years ago. If we would have started 10 years ago, I'm going to tell you, we would right now be seeing results in crime, results in industry, people, workforce. We'd see results right now.
Mike, one of the things that I find a lot frustrating is that there is a fund available in Las Cruces that's there for the health and well-being of the citizens of Las Cruces, and it's not being utilized. How would you use the Telshore Fund?
What we'd do with the Telshore Fund is that would be certainly a starting point. You know, the Telshore Fund's a pretty good amount. There's $33 million in it. The interest on it's about $300,000 a year, which they distribute to different nonprofits around the city. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's a good idea. But in this campus where we put the facility, we would get those nonprofits and we'd set them up in that corridor right there so that we'd have one place that takes care of all those needs. One stop, so that you don't have to get a map out or go through all that road construction to try to get to wherever you're going.
And I understand there's new road construction
starting
starting
up. We will officially have 3 of our 4 main streets will now be under major construction.
Oh, Mike, that's a topic for another program.
Yes,
but
it
it
is.
does make me just shake my
It does.
head.
I shake my head, especially when I see that DOT is on 2 of them that I've seen so far. I just ask, why don't they go over there and work on Valley and expedite that one?
Finish it up.
Those are the people that could be working weekends.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, with the, we know that the Telshore Fund's not going to pay completely for a facility. Probably, you might not even want to use the whole Telshore Fund. But how else would you finance it?
We would never use that we would never exhaust it in that way. What we would do with the funds for the facility is right now they've put another $8 billion in grants out. I'm going to tell you what we'd do. We want state-of-the-art facility. We don't want what somebody else has. We want the model the country will follow. We'll put that together. We'll get the grants put together. And if I have to go around and ask the leaders, let's go to Santa Fe and lobby Santa Fe. Let's go to Washington and let's lobby Washington. But let's go get as much of that money as we possibly can to make this happen.
I'm thinking while you're talking about wanting state-of-the-art facilities for these people who are struggling, they're caught in a trap and they don't know how to get out. But I'm thinking about the fact that we have an incredible state-of-the-art indoor swimming pool.
Yes, we do.
In Las Cruces.
Yes, we do.
But seriously, the needs of the city are better served by using the funds that we gather together.
Absolutely.
For
My
something
goodness.
that will help people.
Let's try to come up, let's try to come up with a way to get people back, give them the hope they need to go out and be productive citizens, live a good life, and get some happiness back in their world. And state-of-the-art, what does state-of-the-art do? I'm going to tell you, it helps you get from point A to point B with a larger success rate. And, we get this facility we want a model of what the nation will look at. Now imagine if we get president of the university, head of economic development, head of one of the clinics, the clinic for instance, one of the school district superintendents, and all of us, me as the mayor, and we all go to Santa Fe to lobby. We all go to Washington, D.C. to lobby. We take our need for our city and we go all represent our city. Just the fact that we'd have a chancellor from a university there helping plead for the people of the city, would that show about the unity in this city?
In this time of disunity,
Yes.
I think it would be a tremendous
Wouldn't it be a breath of fresh air?
It would be
People would
wonderful.
look at the university and say, they care about us. The people at the university would say, Las Cruces cares about us. We'd be Aggie country.
Makes you want to be Aggie country.
That's
You
it,
took the
I'm
words
telling
right out
you.
of my mouth. Mike, we have so many more things to talk about.
Yes,
We're
we
going
do.
to have to pick them up on our next program. But before we close out for today, I want us to remind people that early voting is going to begin on October the 8th. Can you talk about that?
1 week from tomorrow, early voting begins. It is, if you're not registered to vote, you can register up to the 8th, I believe.
Up to the 7th.
Up to the 7th.
Through the 7th.
And you can register to vote. Now, if you need to run to the early vote, contact us on our website. If you need help understanding how to vote, contact us. Whatever help you may need. If you need to register to vote, we'll find a registrar and send them to your house to register you. The bottom line is Las Cruces has got to come together to make this vision happen. I could see a beautiful future for Las Cruces, but it will never happen unless the people get up and vote. It takes all the people, not just a few. 16,000 people vote out of 80,000.
Wow.
That's not good enough.
That is not good enough at all.
We need to absolutely blow those polls away with 20, 30,000 people.
One of the things that I think that you're bringing to the table, Mike, are some simple answers that people will be able to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of times people are afraid to vote because they don't really understand what the issues
Right.
are that people are dealing with.
But what I can tell the people is it is so important to understand. You have to understand because it is you. Your lives are the ones that are benefiting or losing out.
It's
Your
more-
families.
That's right, and it's a lot of fun to vote for president. And I think
Yes.
we all like to vote for president. But the fact
But
of
get
the
out
matter
there and vote
is,
for your city officials because they affect your trash being picked up. Those streets that haven't been paved in 42 years, the city takes care of that. Those utility bills that that got a 24% increase, that's your city.
that's right.
That shut-off notice that if you're over 15 days late, they turn it off on the 16th, that is your city. If those things frustrate you, if things around your community frustrate you, this is when you vote.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about more issues that affect us in this city
All right, I
next
look
week
forward to
and the
it.
weeks to follow between now and Election Day. For right now, thank you for joining us today on Vision Las Cruces. I hope you learned something you didn't know before you tuned in, or maybe were empowered to do something you didn't know how to do before we started the program today. My name is Pam Wolf. I've been here today with candidate for mayor Mike Tellez. Mike, thank you for your time today.
Thank
We'll look
you
forward
so
to
much.
more conversations
Thank you very much.
next
I enjoyed
week.
it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I'm Mike Tellez, and I approve this message. Lisa Parrott, Treasurer.